think I've decided I look like Justine Bateman. Have you seen that, her on the news? It's this big thing of like, Justine Bateman no longer cares about how she looks because she's old and she's just gonna look old. Sort of admire that. Hold on a minute. Sorry, let me get a note. So I am in Alexandria, Virginia, right here on the water, having a little lunch, had some lunch. Took the Amtrak train up to the big city, nation's capital, today where my teenage boys are in school. And anyway, just really a nice day, and I've had time to do a lot of thinking and listening. I met this awesome family on the train, who retired military family, and they have, I was telling them, you know, a little bit about me and what I'm doing. And I should have had a subscriber meetup today. I'm so sorry I didn't think about it. My brain is sort of toast. And this family has 2 children with disabilities, both with Down syndrome, 17 months apart. And we just really talked a lot about that and just life in general. It was really a nice break from fussing and fighting and arguing. People don't really fight about children with disabilities. Thank heavens they don't, because I might hurt them if they did. So tonight at 6, people are already asking, tonight at 6 on this page right here on my big page, I will be interviewing the attorney for Shanquella Robinson's family. So her name is Sue Ann Robinson, no relation, and we were supposed to do it last night, but she couldn't do it, so we're doing it today at 6 p.m. And it'll be on my Facebook page and YouTube. And she wants it also on her YouTube, but I am unable to figure out how to do that. So I have sent them the login to my StreamYard and said, you can do whatever you want with it. But I am no tech person. No. No, I'm not. You know, I find it hard to believe you are educated. Oh, Lena, I'm so glad you're here. I am so glad you're here. I was waiting for you to come all day. I find it so hard to believe that you have so little to do that you take the time to comment on people's Facebook videos. But it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. Someday, I hope when I'm all grown up and have nothing else to do, that I do that. Nothing like trolling Facebook videos of special needs mothers. Cheers to Lena. And we wonder why people get very angry and then go and do terrible things, Lena, or St. Simon's. So this morning, Good Morning America had the story of Trent on their show, which was really awesome to me. Yes, it's Bloody Mary. It sure is. Really awesome to me that they have that on. I think from the get-go, I have wanted national attention, and that upsets people. Some people are like, these teenagers, they shouldn't get in trouble. It's my friend there. He helped me move this table to the street because they have this terrible music playing. I mean, I love this Virtuoso Feed and Grain restaurant, but the music, and then Facebook hates the music, blah, blah, blah. Well, I know Ann Farthing worked at my high school. I wasn't talking to you, Ann. So, there's a real dichotomy happening here, which is super interesting to me. So we have a young man without maybe a diagnosed disability, but clearly has some special needs, right? And people are unkind to him. And some people think, well, you know, it was hazing or it was bullying. When you do the types of things, urinating, defecating on a person, that is not bullying and it's not hazing. It's called assault. And so I think we need to be really clear about that. And most people are smart enough about that. Oh, it was in the New York Times too. Bonnie, I didn't know that. So we've got that. Everybody can agree that's wrong. But then we have what happened in Nashville, Tennessee. And I did a subscriber video this morning. It was probably more honest than I've ever been in my life. And but important to me to kind of talk through what's happening in my mind. So I have never been a big proponent of transgender rights. I don't even know how you say it, right? It's like not on my radar. I have 4 kids, 3 boys and a girl. I think they all are the way they were born. It's just the way it is, right? I do know what it's like to have a child with autism and with special needs. And I know what it's like when I've had people before tell me, well, how do you know? He might be fine, you know, and it's made me feel not heard. Well, let me help the Special Olympics folks. Just lost their soccer ball. Oh, I'm getting it. I think y'all are having too much fun to be working. I know. I keep losing my sunshine though. And so it's never been on my radar. And you looked in tears when I tuned in this morning. Well, I know how it feels to have somebody not acknowledge what it's like to have the son that I have. And it's hard, but there are some people that cannot handle life being not the way that we wanted it to be, right? And it's like, I have a child with a disability. Well, he might be fine. He might graduate from Harvard. He might, blah, 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 blah. You know, it's okay that he doesn't, right? Like, it is fine that he is the way he is. And so I get that part of it. What I don't get is that we can all acknowledge this horror and meanness to Trent, and we can all recognize that was terrible, right? But then when we have a school shooter, and I've never thought about this before, we have a school shooter and who murders 6 people who have done nothing to him, nothing. Those people were innocent. And I read things like from Tucker Carlson, who might be the fakest, most inflammatory person on the planet, because I don't need to drum up drama in life. Like, there is plenty of drama on its own, right? Trans hate, trans murder, we've got to watch out. Trans people are violent. %96 of shooters are men. And it's actually called cis men. So that's the term that I didn't know about. That is when you identify as the sex you were born into, cis. So this is new for me too. I'm no expert, but I'm learning. And we have a shooter that identified as a man that murdered these 6 people. And everybody is saying, well, transgender people are dangerous. It blows my mind that people are unwilling to say, why did he do that? What would make you shoot through the doors of a school and murder children? What would make you do that? So that to me is what a reasonable person does. A reasonable person stops and says, what happened? And when Columbine happened, or when all the other shootings happened, that's always been in my mind. What made somebody do that? And we always heard bullying, but we never really knew. We didn't have great information. We knew bullying. Bullying is pretty vague, right? The fact that we know this person identified as transgender, this person's family did not allow him to be transgender. This person's mother said, I lost my daughter yesterday. This person's name was Aiden. Aiden had written Aiden on his gun. And Aiden has been transgender since high school. Aiden is 28. No one has ever said to Aiden, I don't know what's going on in your mind, but if you want to be called Aiden, I'm Adrian. Nice to meet you. am I the only person saying this out loud? I just don't get it. I do not get it. I like that you're using the tragedy to gain knowledge. Kim, how do we not gain knowledge? That is, if there's anything we take away from families planning funerals to put children in caskets that are this long, we have to stop and say, why did the person freaking do that? And in this case, we have a very clear path of no one ever accepted me or loved me. The love was conditional that I got, and I'm so freaking angry and mad at the world for not seeing me that I'm going to do something that the world will remember. And the world will know this was my legacy, and this is your punishment for not loving me the way I am. But no one's saying that. Everyone's saying trans people are dangerous. Instead, what we should all be saying is, you know what? We are critical thinkers, and clearly being non-supportive of a trans person can really create a lot of problems. And we're seeing direct evidence of that. And what would have happened, and I want you to stop for a minute, and I want you to think of yourself for just a second. What if Aiden had been allowed to dress as a male in his parents' house? What if Aiden had been called Aiden by his family? What if Aiden's friends, when he texted them, called him Aiden instead of his female name? His last Instagram message was to a girl. He signed it Aiden, and do you know what she did? She called him his dead name. Can you imagine? Can you imagine in that moment how alone he felt? I just can't imagine. He was sitting there in his car at this elementary school with guns, and he was thinking, nobody gives a shit about me. And he sends this person a message, and they say, you know, Ashley or whatever his name was, don't do this. And he's like, oh my God, no one will address me as my name. He walks past a playground full of children. He doesn't shoot them. You know why? Because he had something he had to do, because nobody would give him fucking attention. And is it a reason? Should you kill people because of that? No, and nobody is saying that. But as outsiders and people like us that are looking from the side, we can say, what can we do different? We can love the Aidens. And I promise you that I will never, ever misgender someone ever again. I have learned that I am going to be kind and compassionate and loving. I drove through the fields today. I got on a train and I saw this sign in front of a church. I told my subscribers, and it just said, God is love. And people love to talk about God and Genesis, and I'm a Christian, and God is love. That's all it said. All we have to do is offer love. It's so freaking easy. So when a politician says to you, trans people are evil, you need to say to them, are you smoking crack for breakfast? Because I really am concerned when you have politicized something to such a degree that you don't even have the ability to think critically. Seriously? It's not about being sorry for a murderer, Gloria. I don't hate you. It's not about pity. It's about learning. And if we are unwilling to learn, then how can we ever do anything better? So go back with me here. Moms Against Drunk Driving. Years ago, we had people would get shit-faced and they would drive. And these mothers were losing their children and they were mad. So they formed this group, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, MADD. And they knew, we can't have this. People went crazy. They couldn't take it. You can't tell me if I can drink. I'm an American. You can't stop this. I mean, it was insane. And all they were saying is, I hope what I'm saying, drink all you want, but when it affects other people, it's a problem, right? And you know what we did? We came up with laws and we said, you can drink, but you can't drink and drive. That's over for you. Or used to be able to smoke in the airplane, sit in the back of the airplane, just loving it, smoke up a storm. And then we get research, and research says, you know, if you're exposed to secondhand smoke, you're way more likely to die of cancer. And you know what they did? They changed the law, and they said, you know what, we're not going to smoke in restaurants anymore. I was pissed. I mean, I'm in New York City. I can't smoke in a restaurant. This isn't fair. They can't tell me what to do. They looked at the research, and they said, this is best practice. Best practice is loving and taking care of. She has been making a lot of assumption and has been for days. Well, you know why you think that, Darlene? Because you're uncomfortable with your own feelings and you realize that this is a problem. And maybe calling someone the wrong pronoun, maybe for some people it's not a big deal, but for this person, it was a really big deal. And when you get a hold of the manifesto that he wrote, you can come back to me and say, okay, this has been written in a way that it is very clear what my problems are. And it has to do with the lack of acceptance and love and listening. Oh, Liz, my son's principal always said that. I didn't know that was Maya Angelou. When you know better, you do better. I had more like moms and people come on and say, my daughter's transgender. I just saw somebody say, my granddaughter's transgender. All you have to do is love your children. Yeah, just because you don't understand it doesn't mean you have to like take some stance against it, right? It doesn't have anything to do with you. And when we move in this direction, in Tennessee particularly, March 3rd passed lots of different laws. We can't talk about being transgender at school. Hell, they can't even watch the movie Ruby Bridges. We are moving backwards in a way of, we've kind of accepted that people are gay, right? We've accepted that you can be gay, but maybe there's still people that don't think that. Are we really going to go there, to this place? So Kevin McCarthy said, you know, I feel like these politicians, I feel like you could show up with 8,000 legally purchased semi-assault weapons and shoot up the whole Capitol, and the one person left would be like, I don't think we should take away guns. They cannot possibly think. I said this yesterday. I think the NRA basically has videos of every politician like having sex with small animals. And they're like, if you go against us, we're going to show the video of you and that squirrel, or you and that hamster, or you and that rabbit, or you and that nutria. I mean, I cannot for the life of me see why people are not. This woman just gave me a horrible look. Just terrified her. I cannot for the life of me see how you can say, and I had a friend text me who's pretty conservative, and he said, well, he got the guns illegally, right? And I said, no, actually, they were legal. Oh, shit, that doesn't fit what I was going to say. So now what the person says is, well, we need more school resource officers because the guns were bought legally. Now, if they had been gotten illegally, that's all you would be hearing about. Look, the gun law's working. These were illegal guns. The gun law is working. But because they were legal, we can't talk about that. So we're going to make a switch. We're going to switch over. So now we need more school resource officers. So I'm sitting outside right now in this park. There's no bulletproof glass. There's no school resource officer. And someone could come by and murder me. And what are you going to say to me? That I should have had a bodyguard? That there should be more police officers on the street? Maybe my waiter should open carry? Maybe I should have a gun in my fake Louis Vuitton pocketbook? I mean, what can I do? The only thing I can do is make sure people have less access to weapons that are not made to kill a deer or shoot a duck or do whatever, but made to destroy. I'm not against guns. We have a gun safe. We have guns in my house. I mean, my family loves a gun. Though I will say, we're not pussies. So my crowd uses a, what's it called? Not a bow and arrow. They prefer to hunt more naturally, not with guns, which I sort of admire. My uncle, who had one arm, was always a bow and arrow owner. So guns are kind of for like, but we have guns. That I shouldn't have probably said that word. Facebook, I didn't mean that. I was talking about cats. So here we are. You haven't read the manifesto, Catherine, because it has not come out. It has not been released publicly. It has not been released publicly. But so we can't say that the guns were illegal. Crossbow. Thank you, Carol. Yes, we use a crossbow. We can't say, and I'll tell you what, if you show up with a crossbow, you could kill someone. It would be fairly difficult to kill multiple people with a crossbow, right? So we're not against weaponry at all. What we're against is the ability to shoot tons of people in a very limited amount of time. So the weapons were legal, and there was no school resource officer, but we know from Uvalde what happened with school resource officers. Though I will say, from hearing, this is something that I've been kind of schooled on this, I think school resource officers might be more helpful than I personally thought, hearing that he was going to go shoot another school, but there was too much security. So that makes me think, wow, maybe school resource officers are deterring more than we know. So that was kind of big for me. But now, if I were going to try to make this argument, I would argue that school resource officers didn't help. But because my goal is not to make an argument, my goal is to look at data and use it, then I think that's important. So Kevin McCarthy said, this isn't political. We have a mental health problem. These people are mentally ill. How come it's only when someone uses a gun to kill people that they have mental illness? So when somebody is a serial killer and murders 30 women or children in Atlanta, they never said that fella had mental illness. They said he was a serial killer. So what is it, again, if you use a gun and kill children, we've got to do everything we can to make it not about guns. And we have to talk about legal, we have to talk about school resource officers, we have to talk about bulletproof glass, and now we have to talk about mental illness. We don't say anybody else is mentally ill. No one is saying that the teenagers that took a crap and peed all over a young man in St. Simons, nobody is saying they're mentally ill. They're saying they're mean as hell. And we're all like, yeah, they're mean as hell. So then in this case, when I think this person is not only not mean, because it doesn't feel mean, it feels more mad. Right? You are reaching now. Kiss my ass. Why is that? Why is that? I just, mental illness. I mean, I take Zoloft. Am I mentally ill? I might be. the internet might make me mentally ill. And then yesterday in my state, in North Carolina, they decided that we no longer need background checks for pistols through local sheriff's departments. So the sheriff's departments are really upset about this because they think this is a great law. But some peons in the General Assembly in North Carolina say, no, we don't need that. And then, just to top things off, to like really piss me off, I think this is God's way of saying, Adrienne, I'm ready for you to run for office. The Republicans want to, get this, expand the school voucher program. I'm ready for my check anytime. No, I will drink my drink, but I'll go on and pay you if I can find some money. Uh-oh. This could be a problem then. You got my back. Oh. Shit, I don't think I have any money. So school vouchers are going to expand. So people that claim to be conservative, I would argue I'm pretty conservative, particularly fiscally conservative. Spending $500 million so that North Carolina's children can go to private schools that we know nothing about and we do no testing or assessment is not what I call being a good steward of money. Do you think? $500 million so people can go to private school. Which, even if you thought that a school choice was a good idea, shouldn't there be some sort of like evaluation of where the $500 million is going? Does that seem crazy? Seems crazy to me. And get this, Amos, my son Amos, who's in public school, my county gets $17,125, the school, for him to be there. If this new bill goes through that they proposed yesterday, guess how much we will get to leave the public school system? $21,000. So the state of North Carolina, my politicians are willing to give me $4,000 more to get Amos out of the public school system. And do you know what they say on Ed Choice NC? They say this is going to save North Carolina 48%. You're so scared about being in my video.
Yeah, because I wanted to be a perfect one.
And somebody might say, well, your boys are in boarding school and you're paying for it. Yeah. Well, actually, my parents are up and pay for it. Do I think that you all should pay for it? No. We have public transportation, right? We have it. Today I took the train here. If you don't like the train, North Carolina does not give you a stipend to buy a car. No. If you don't drive, you still pay for the highways to get fixed up. You have to think about this. She has Apple Pay on her phone. Well, I had a debit card, but I have a tendency to lose cards. Sort of a problem. North Carolina shooter today. I don't think so. I have not heard that there was a North Carolina shooter today. What I have heard is that there are a lot of hoaxes happening, which is pretty normal. God, I tell you what, people really like their dogs. I mean, they flat take them out in public. And I mean, we have a service dog, but I don't like need to take my dog everywhere. Well, this is a problem. Ooh, I found it. Yes. Your parents are awesome. Yes, they are. Iowa has school vouchers. The amount is only $7,500. I just found it. So that really did me in. And so I've been threatening my husband that I'm going to run for office. I've been saying it for years. But today I was like, I'm going to have to. And you know what's going to happen? No one's going to vote for me. Because unfortunately, the Republicans have hijacked my party and decided that vouchers are a good thing. They're going to waste all the tax money. So now I have to be a Democrat. Damn it. Which is fine. It's fine. My husband can't vote for me, but it's fine. Shooting in a Memphis restaurant. 7 people, 2 dead. I'm in Forsyth Tech in Winston had a shooter. Really? I just don't think so. I think that what you're seeing are pretend, but maybe I'm wrong. But I just read the news a few minutes before. There was a Raleigh shooting today. Maybe. Do you have others at your house that go through your handbag? Probably. I mean, thank you.
Thank you so much.
The dog. One shot, not active shooter at Forsyth Tech. So, you know, the difference in shootings at public schools versus shootings at colleges, and this is research-based too, is that public school shootings are not targeted shootings, historically based. And college shootings are very targeted, which is interesting. You could run as unaffiliated, and then you know what happens? You never ever win. You cannot win as unaffiliated. I don't know why, but it's impossible. What would you run for? The hills? No, I don't know. Because I would probably be like my friend Senator Michael Garrett. They'd probably put me down, way down in the deep, dark dungeon of the basement. I've said I'm not going to run until I can get these children of mine moving. I mean, I have one that's home and will be for a while, so that's okay. But the other three, I'm trying to move forward. We need conservatives that are not insane, and unfortunately, that is more and more of the Dems on the more old school side. Yeah, I just don't think I could do it. Don't think that is a hoax at Forsyth Tech. As for Raleigh, there's a shooting in Raleigh every day of the week. Oh, that's true. That's true. So let's just use our brains, people. Just use your brain. And when somebody tells you it's not political, it's not this, it's not guns, say to them, is there anything that could happen that would ever make you feel like maybe it was a gun? You know, Ronald Reagan, funny enough, once he got shot, he was like, Brady, hell yeah, I'm ready. Uvalde, you had all these officers that came out and they were like, we had to stand there in that hall and listen to that shooting, and no regular citizen needs access to a semi-assault weapon. And I guess the last thing I would say to you is, I love the Second Amendment. I think it's great that you have the right to bear arms. I love the First Amendment even more, which is your right to gather peacefully. And there is nothing more peaceful, or should be more protected, than gathering at school. School is where children should be safe, right? That is where they should be safe. That's all we need. We just need kids to go to school and be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, my love.
See
Have
ya.
a great day.
Thank
Bye.
you. You too. And we have to ask ourselves, okay, let's say we do another 10-year semi-assault weapon ban. Let's do it. 10 years. Is anybody going to lose their mind over 10 years? I don't think so. And I tell you what, if we do it for 10 years and you show me that shootings are still happening at the same rate and terrible, you know what I'll do? I'll be like, you know what? Give it back to them. I was wrong and I admit it. That's okay. I think 9 were killed in Kentucky in the Black Hawk helicopter. Yeah, tax differences. I mean, I pay a lot in taxes. I promise you, every ad you're watching today, I'm sending 33 cents to the government. Every ad. So I know about taxes. But what do we have to lose? We have nothing to lose other than maybe the NRA being pissed at us. Well, who the frick cares? The NRA can kiss my ass. Don't ever change. Well, I don't think I can change. because I'm unwilling to like be a faker. And I've tried, in order to like get these college recommendations, basically you need to kiss ass. So I'm sorry to my children, but they're going to be unable to get in places that require that because I can't do it. My husband has already said, well, you've ruined our chances of getting a nomination to the Air Force Academy. I was like, I try not to, but I just can't help it. It's naive to think you can put the genie back in the bottle. Well, Willow, let's talk about this for a minute, Missy Prissy. We had an assault weapons ban, Willow. Do you remember it? It was for 10 years, and then it expired. So guess what? It's not stupid, sugar. Sugar puss, you can lose your gun for 10 years and get it back. It's not a big deal. Willa, no, it's not. I don't know why anybody needs that gun to begin with. What are they going to do, go out and kill a pig? I mean, use a dog for that. Ain't nobody needs a semi-assault weapon. No. And when the NRA had their big conference last year in Texas, they had that Ted Cruz there. You remember Ted Cruz? Ted Cruz is the one during COVID that snuck off to Cancun and then lied about it. Ted Cruz, they had the big NRA conference there. And guess what you weren't allowed to take to the conference? You weren't allowed to carry a gun in your pocket. No, because they did not care. No siree, Tootsie Pop. I'm off to see my children. Carry on. I hope you've been thinking, and I hope to see you tonight at 6. Goodbye.